Mr. Thompson was renowned among his students for his quirky sense of humor and his love for practical jokes. He was the kind of teacher who made learning fun, even if it meant occasionally bending the rules. One bright Monday morning, as the students settled into their seats, Mr. Thompson strolled in with an unusually serious expression. He cleared his throat dramatically and said, "Class, today we have a very important lesson. Pay attention." The students exchanged puzzled glances, wondering what Mr. Thompson had up his sleeve this time. He walked to the board and wrote in bold letters, "The physics of flying pigs." The class erupted in laughter. "Flying pigs, Mr. Thompson?" one brave soul asked. "Yes, indeed," Mr. Thompson replied with a twinkle in his eye. "You see, according to theoretical physics—" Before he could finish, the classroom door burst open, and in stumbled Billy, notorious for his perpetual tardiness. He tripped over his shoelaces and crashed into the teacher's desk, sending a pile of papers flying through the air like confetti. Mr. Thompson frowned momentarily, but then regained his composure. "Ah, Billy," he said with a sigh, always making an entrance. The class chuckled. As Mr. Thompson continued his lecture on imaginary flying pigs and their potential impact on aerodynamics, Billy sat in the back row, barely containing his laughter. He whispered to his friend Sarah, "Can you believe this?" Sarah giggled, shaking her head. "I swear Mr. Thompson gets more creative every day." Meanwhile, Mr. Thompson was deep into his explanation, drawing elaborate diagrams of pigs with tiny propeller hats. Suddenly, the classroom door creaked open again, and this time it was Mrs. Jenkins, the strictest teacher in the school, who peeked in. "Mr. Thompson," she said sternly, "is everything all right in here?" Mr. Thompson turned to face her with a completely serious expression. "Yes, Mrs. Jenkins," he replied. "Just discussing the finer points of theoretical physics with my esteemed students." Mrs. Jenkins raised an eyebrow skeptically, but decided not to delve further into Mr. Thompson's peculiar teaching methods. She nodded curtly and retreated, leaving the class in stitches. By now, even the most skeptical students were enjoying themselves. The lesson on flying pigs had somehow transformed into a lesson on the importance of creativity and laughter in learning. As the bell rang for lunch, Mr. Thompson winked at his class and said, "Remember, folks, always aim high, even if you're a pig with wings." The students filed out of the classroom, still chuckling and discussing the absurdity of the morning's lesson. Billy caught up with Mr. Thompson at the door and said with a grin, "Best physics class ever, sir." Mr. Thompson patted Billy on the shoulder. "You haven't seen anything yet," he replied mysteriously. "Wait till we cover the quantum mechanics of dancing unicorns." And so, Mr. Thompson's reputation as the most unconventional teacher in the school was sealed. His students looked forward to his classes not just for the knowledge he imparted, but for the laughter and joy he brought into their lives every day.